Hi everyone, this is Dave with Sifaka Studio, and today I'm going to be going over the Robert rig. If you'd like a copy of this rig for yourself, it's available for purchase in the Sifaka Studio store on the Toonboom Marketplace. So just a little bit about this rig to begin with. It was designed with two main aspects in mind, which are simplicity and flexibility. What I mean when I say that is the design of the character and also the methods used to rig it aren't very complicated. So even if you have just limited experience using Toonboom, you can work your way around this rig. And then once you've become comfortable with it, you can get some pretty extreme poses. And as an added benefit, this rig is pretty light, so you can animate quickly without having your computer slow down. I'll show you an example of the kind of poses you can get here with this kind of in perspective running pose. This pose was created just by manipulating the envelope deformers that are on this character and by shifting around the pegs. So if I start with a neutral pose like this, it can animate smoothly into this running pose without having to use any cell swaps. And how that works is there are envelope deformers on nearly every piece of the body of this character. And these give you a lot of flexibility when creating poses, and it allows you to get kind of a 3D kind of look to your animation. Just as an example, I'll show you here on the head. If I wanted a different head shape, I could just access this deformer. And now I can shift around these control points to make any shape that I want. Next, included in this file are several views that will give you a full character rotation. You've got a front, a 3/4 front, a profile, a 3/4 back, and a back view. With just those 5 views though, you can get a full rotation because this character has been designed symmetrically, so if you need the opposite facing way, you can just flip the whole character like this, and then if you need the shadows to be on the same side they were before, you can just flip those too. So I'll just go back to the front view and explain a little bit more. One thing that you might notice are these little dots all over the place. These are controllers that are used to manipulate pieces of the character that might not always be visible. So say for example this one controls the bottom plane of the foot. There's one here for the shadow. This one controls this midline here. There's one above the character. It controls the top of the head. There are also some on the face for the eyelids and the top of the eye. And for these controllers, you don't need to worry about them showing up in your animation because they're only visible in the OpenGL view. If I just switch to render view here, you'll see that they don't show up anymore. As I said before, all of the body parts on Robert here have an envelope deformer that includes the arms and legs and these kind of tube-shaped parts. However, these parts also have a spline deformer on them. By default, it's the envelope deformer like this. That's because this allows you to get the widest range of poses. However, it's not necessarily the fastest to work with. So if you'd like to switch to a spline deformer instead, you can do that just by shifting to the next cell, number 2. And now it's a spline deformer like this, and that might be a little bit faster for you to animate with. If you'd like to change the leveling of any of the body parts, you can do that pretty easily. So right now, for example, both of these fingers are above the hand, but I might want one to be below it. I can do that by selecting it and then just shifting it back in Z depth. I'll do that here, just shift it back by a little bit. Now it's behind the hand. The same goes for any body part. If, for example, I wanted this leg to be in front of the body, I could just shift it forward a little bit. Next, I'll just go over the hierarchy of Robert a little bit here. It's pretty standard, so I could select maybe just a foot if I want, or just the leg. I can also select the foot with the leg, like this, or maybe I want both legs. Next, it goes up to the whole lower body, and then the whole character. And it's the same kind of idea for the upper body. I could select just a finger, or both fingers, or maybe just the hand, like this. The hand with the fingers. I've got the hand with the arm, or just the arm. And then I could select both arms with the torso, the upper body, or the upper body including the waist, and then it goes up to the full character again, just like this. I'll also talk a little bit about the face now. So by default there's this closed mouth that you can manipulate with this deformer. However, you also have access to both a small and a large open mouth. You can access those by just switching the cell number. So if I move forward, I have this large open mouth. It has several control points here, so you can get a wide variety of mouth shapes. Also, there's this tongue inside here that only shows up on the inside of the mouth. Right now it's just a circle, but I could use the deformer on this to make any shape I want, really. There's also this small open mouth. The tongue is also in this one, and it also has a few control points here so that you can get some different shapes. On the eyes here, he has these eyelids. I can move those around with these controllers, and also I can adjust the shape of the eyelid with the deformer. The eyelids only show up on the inside of the eye. You can shift around this controller to change the shape of the top of the eye to get some different kind of expressions, and you can also deform that like this. Right now, it looks like the deformer is doing something strange, but if you run into an issue like this, just check your render, and you'll see that it's actually working the way you want it to. Also, on the outside of the eye, there's a deformer so that you can change the overall shape of the eye. And on the inside, there's this kind of glowy bit here. It only shows up on the inside of the eye, and you can use that kind of like a pupil. Also, one thing I didn't mention before, on the pelvis here, there are these kind of shadowy bits to show the plane where the leg connects to the pelvis. And I'm just going to set this back to default for a second here. And because the different views within this rotation were made by manipulating the deformers instead of using cell swaps, you can get some pretty smooth animation just in between these views also. I'll show you here. You can go pretty smoothly from a 3/4 front to a profile, or even from a profile to a 3/4 back. Just like this. Also in this file, I've included a walk cycle that I've done, and I'm going to use that just to show you an example of the type of animation that you can do with this rig. So I'll just let this cycle through a couple times here. And now you can see that in a lot of the body parts, it's got this kind of pseudo 3D looking aspect to it. So if I look at the pelvis, I can see that if this was a 3D character, it would have rotation values on all 3 axes here. And the same thing goes with this hand. And then if I move down and look at the foot, you can see that it lands flat on the ground and then rolls up off the ground, and then you can see the bottom plane of the foot once it lifts. And then up in the head here, you've also got some rotation in the face. Just like this. You can feel free to use this walk cycle if you'd like, or you can make your own also, it's completely up to you. And I think that goes over pretty much everything. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to leave a comment, or you can contact me directly and I'll do my best to get back to you. Also, there are more rigs and videos to come, so keep an eye out for those. And I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.